going on, guys? Welcome back to my channel. This is Leo's Nerd Talk, and today we're going to be talking about Ghostbusters 2. So let's get into that. Now, Ghostbusters 2 tells a story of the four original Ghostbusters 5 years later after the Ghostbusters have gone bankrupt and they had to close down shop, and then trying to regain the trust of all the citizens in New York to stop another evil in a very similar fashion. Now, very similar to the original Ghostbusters, I've only seen this movie once. Years ago, a lot younger, also way past the original time this Ghostbusters movie first came out. And I know there's a lot of fans of the Ghostbusters series that aren't too fond of this sequel, and that's kind of why it didn't really do so well, and we never got a Ghostbusters 3, and why it took so long for Ghostbusters to kind of come back with the 2016 remake, and then we had Afterlife a couple of years ago, kind of bringing back this original storyline. But I mean, I had some decent fun with this one. It's something that is enjoyable enough, but it is kind of a beat for beat retelling of the similar story. Like, it's literally just
same, but different, but still same.
But with that being said, let's go ahead and get into the pros for me. And I just really enjoy the story because it's the same story as the first one. You have basically the cast having to try to regain the trust. They're going through some hardship of trying to let everybody know there is ghosts, even though 5 years ago they literally saved the entire city from ghosts, and everyone is still like, we don't believe in ghosts, you guys are just full of crap, this is just a scam. And you're kind of just like, did you guys forget what happened 5 years ago? Like, all the ghosts that we helped take down for you guys, and you guys don't believe us again? So it's kind of a little strange there, but the overall plot is still enjoyable enough because it's still kind of a beat for beat remake essentially of the original one. And then I think the ghost capturing actions, sequences and stuff like that are a little bit better than the original. And I think the actual effects look a little bit nicer and they hold up definitely better than the original one for sure. And that's another thing that's pretty enjoyable on this one. And I also really enjoyed the whole blob aspect of it, that pink slime that's kind of throughout the entire time. It kind of just reminds me of the Blob. I really, really enjoyed that monster element, or that kind of evil presence element, over the main boss, which we'll get a little to later. But I did really enjoy kind of how the nastiness and all the meanness of the city is kind of concentrated into this very evil slime that makes people hate each other and all that kind of stuff. So I did really enjoy that aspect of it as well. And another thing that I didn't really mention in my original Ghostbusters review that I like in both the original one and this one a little bit more actually, is that it does kind of have a little horror flavor to it, right? Of course, there's ghosts in this, and this is definitely a lot more appealing for kids because it's kind of like that entry-level horror, which is really nice with the Ghostbusters movies. But I feel like this one delved deep a little bit more into that horror element, especially in that scene when they're going through the tunnels trying to find the source of the slime, and then they're walking through the dark and all these heads start popping up. Like, that scene is generally pretty creepy, and I can see someone that's a lot younger getting generally scared from that whole sequence as a whole. And I was, watching it again, after so many years for the first time, I was like, that's actually, I like that. A little bit of a horror flavor in there. That's actually a really good kind of entry-level horror for someone that wants to get into horror, especially for people that are a little bit younger. And also with the horror, I also enjoy some of the comedy elements. There's a lot of good jokes in here that get a good chuckle out of me. One of the ones that I thought was funny for whatever reason was someone calls the police station and they're like, Sergeant, the Titanic just arrived at the pier. And then one of the guys like, oh, better late than never. Like, I don't know why I thought that was just pretty funny. It actually got a good chuckle out of me. But overall, I just think the humor is still done pretty well, like the original one. You still have comedians as casting, of course, like with Bill Murray, that are just people that were at the top of their game when it came to the comedy aspect of everything. So I still, of course, really enjoy the casting. The original casting is still the best, right? So overall, I think this movie did a fine job as a sequel. I'm someone that is guilty for enjoying sequels a lot more than the original. I don't know why. I've always kind of been like that. I've always liked sequels. So I thought I was going to walk into this one liking it more. And there were certain times where I did, where there's sequences and ghosts and all this stuff that where I'm just like, I think I like this one a little bit more than the original. And then it gets to parts where I'm like, nah, the original one is still kind of just a overall better cohesive story. It definitely feels a lot more classic. It doesn't have to piggyback off of anything. So I do still think I like the original better, but this one is definitely a close second. When I'm trying to compare both of them, I can probably take either one at any time of the day. So it's a little bit difficult, especially when it's going to get to the ranking a little bit later. I'm actually have some trouble trying to find out which one I actually enjoy better. But I think overall, I think the original one is going to be a more enjoyable watch for me personally. Now let's go ahead and get into the cons for me. And probably the biggest con is, well, I think there's two big cons. The first one, which is obvious, is that this is just a beat for beat retelling of the original story just 5 years later, right? Where they have to, again, gain the trust of the citizens, try to make them believe in ghosts again. There's a villain with this kind of guy that likes the main girl that Bill Murray's with Sigourney Weaver, right? He likes his Sigourney Weaver, and he gets entangled with the main boss, and he's kind of like that creepy dude, so very similar to the first one. You have them talking to the mayor, trying to make the mayor believe in them again so they can save the city. You have them going to jail again. You have them doing all these different aspects. You have like the ghost capturing montage again. Even like the final boss when they arrive in their Ghostbusters car and all the crowd is there behind the police guard and everything like that, and they're cheering them on for the final battle. Like it's very, very cookie cutter, and which is fine. It's still enjoyable enough, but you would wish for them to do something a little bit different where you throw on the first one and then immediately right after throw on the second one, and then you're just like, did I not just watch this movie? And that's kind of what it feels like, when you're watching it. And I think that's why the original one just feels better, because this one just feels like a retelling of it. Even though I enjoyed some of the villains here, or some of the ghosts and monsters, better than the original one, there's still sequences where I'm like, yeah, it's just the same thing. I'd rather watch the original one over this one. Another, thing, my biggest, con for me, I think, is the actual main villain. I didn't really enjoy that much. I think he was kind of like weird, kind of creepy, and not creepy in a good way. It was just kind of such a strange way to tell this villain. Like on the first one, you have this big spectacle throne, like interdimensional type of beast and stuff like that on the top of the building, and then the big Stay Puft Marshmallow Man comes in, and like all that stuff was like cool. And then this one is like in a museum. There's like little candles around. There's a painting. The painting has a person that wants to come back to life and embody into the baby of Sigourney Weaver's baby. And it just felt strange. Just like that villain felt really strange to me. It didn't feel impactful. And another thing that's kind of a beat for beat as the first one, where you have the main villain and the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man comes, and you have the Statue of Liberty coming in. So it's very, very cookie cutter. But overall, just that main villain just didn't really hit home for me. I think if they utilize the pink slime more to be that's like the main villain, and it turns into like this big blob monster, I think that would have been a lot more compelling and a lot more kind of pleasing as a final villain, more than this villain that I don't even remember his name, and I literally just finished watching the movie 5 minutes ago. So that's probably one of my biggest gripes with this plot and the villain and how it kind of all wraps up for me. But let me know what you guys think about Ghostbusters 2. I still have a pretty good fun time with it. I do enjoy the original one probably a little bit better now that I kind of think about it and I'm putting all my thoughts out there. But I still really enjoy it. I think these are just some fun movies you can throw on, and I hope these movies kind of go from generation to generation. But yeah, let me know what you guys think about this movie. And again, if you guys are excited for Frozen Empire, make sure to hit that like and subscribe button, because that review will come soon, and I'm gonna do a full ranking of all the Ghostbusters movies. So if you guys like talking anything movies, TV shows, or video game related, make sure to hit that like and subscribe button, and I'll see you guys on the next review. Thank you.